Hey guys, I'm here with a preview and some initial thoughts on the Brand Black JCrossover 2. This is Jamal Crawford's second signature shoe with the brand. We just got a public release finally last week, and I got my pair yesterday, so I just wanted to look at them and put together some things I wanted to talk about in terms of details and things like that. A lot of the information that I'll be talking about can be found on Brand Black's website, along with a video review that Nightwing did. I'll put the links in the description box. He did a review of the gray pair that's releasing or scheduled to release next month. So I've been waiting for these for a while, so I'm kind of excited to talk about them and play in them. So I'll put the links in the description box. Go check those videos out and it'll kind of give you a better idea about the shoes. I just wanted to talk about some details that maybe you wouldn't notice until you have the shoe in hand. At least that's how it was for me, just after looking at the pictures and then actually receiving them and just checking them out in person. There are some things that I wanted to go over. So let's talk about just like first impressions and actually receiving the shoes. In terms of the box, so I'll get these out of the way for a second. The box has his branding, JCrossover, right, the logo, and then when you open it, the box itself has like this blue lining that's kind of similar to the outsole, right, of the actual shoe, which is just part of their branding. I think that blue outsole, I heard that they're gonna keep this, so when you see that, you just think it's Brand Black, right? They want that kind of connection and recognition. So that's kind of neat. The shoes also come with a drawstring bag, okay, that has some, one for the slot for the left shoe, one for the right shoe, and then there's some Brand Black branding right there. So that's kind of a nice touch instead of just the regular paper, this drawstring bag. And then also the shoes themselves come with these plastic inserts as opposed to just, stuffed paper in there. This goes right where the tongue is, and then this obviously fits the rest of the shoe. I don't really like plastic, so that part doesn't matter too much to me, but, it's just something to note. That's another way that they kind of separate themselves from other companies. So, and the box itself is pretty sturdy. That's a nice feature. I think that's good. It's like the box would be hard to get damaged during shipping and storage. So I know that's important for some people. So the box is pretty sturdy and thick. So that's a nice feature as well, right? Feels like pretty high quality just right off the bat. So going to the shoes, right? That's what we're here for. Starting with that outsole and the midsole. One thing to note, guys, is the edges of the outsole. A lot of the initial pictures and images and videos and things had translucent edges here. And obviously the release pair is solid blue rubber, which I prefer. So that's one thing to note. That's one big difference. The black-red pair, I think they kept the translucent edges for the final pair. But for this pair, the final release obviously has the solid blue rubber. And then you have their kind of traction pattern. They call these traction blades, according to their video. And I heard traction is supposed to be pretty good on these. And then they also have your shank plate here, the TPU plate, which helps with keeping your foot in place and also in transition, giving you that spring back feeling, right? So that kind of covers the outsole there. The main thing being the edges there are different in terms of initial pictures and the final product. And then we go to the midsole, which is their Jet Lawn cushioning. I personally think they should have picked a different name. I mean, just in terms of the lawn, because it just sounds like Lunar Lawn and Cush Lawn and Phi Lawn and, kind of like Nike cushioning there. And whereas like Under Armour went with Micro G and Adidas has Adiprene, it kind of, it's like their name for it. It doesn't matter to me, but, it is what it is. And her Jet Lawn's supposed to be really comparable to Micro G and Zoom, so we'll see how that plays out. But you have full-length Jet Lawn, and then this part right here is actually called Force Vector. There's a name for that. It's a technology, and it's just designed to disperse your the impact protection, but also keep your foot secured for those hard cuts and movements and things like that. So they're actually going to use this identical pattern, this design, on another shoe called the Force Vector that's releasing next month. So expect to see that, right? And it's very different. This part isn't exactly like as white as these parts. It's a little bit like off-white, like chalky, maybe cream colored, and it's very hard compared to the softer parts here of the Jet Lawn. Okay, so you can really, like, you can hear that compared to just to to this softer parts here, right? So that gives you an idea of the midsole. And then we go into the upper. So you kind of had two distinct parts here, right? The first part obviously is your knit, and Brand Black calls this flat knit, geez. So, you know, knit is like the hot commodity in shoes right now, right? So Nike has their fly knit, and Adidas has the prime knit, and Brand Black has their flat knit, okay? So the midfoot and forefoot is entirely knit. And then they call this part a molded upper, which is basically made of like microfibers designed in a certain way. And obviously this part is much more supportive and restrictive and stiff than the very flexible and soft part of the forefoot. Okay, so that's kind of your upper there. And obviously they have the Brand Black logo here, and this is etched. It's not just painted on or printed on, so that's kind of nice on that heel stripe there. You have a lot of perforations on this side, and they are kind of see-through. I don't know if I can show you, like, you know, just to show you. Yeah, you can't really see that, huh? But they are see-through. If you can put your fingers in there, you can see your fingers through there. So, and it's on both sides, both the medial and distal side. Right there, there's perforations. So ventilation is obviously going to be a strong suit of these shoes. That's what other people have said as well. So the perforations there, and then the different, you know, design of the toe box. There is a toe guard in here that's somewhere in there, so it stops right about there, and there's a toe guard in there, so that's nice for that extra level of protection. And that's very important, I think, in a knit shoe, obviously, because this is somebody steps on your foot, you're going to feel all of it, so it's nice to have those toes protected, right? Another thing to note is the lacing system. It's not something that I really paid attention to until I had the shoes in hand. It's basically a traditional lacing system, right? But they cover it with this panel here, right? So if you could see underneath here, you'd see the eyelets, right? But you can't see them because, you know, so that gives it kind of a nice clean profile look, in my opinion. But it also makes that area bumpy, right? So again, you can see in there, and the laces are round, right? That's how the laces go through there, the eyelets there. So when you put them on, maybe it'll change over time when you break them in, but, you know, just immediately, they don't, you know, these kind of stick out a little bit. So the laces still do a good job of containing your foot with this upper, but yeah, this is kind of bumpy here. So that's another thing that I noticed. And then you have the tongue, which has your perforations there, of course, with their branding there, the JC logo and their brand name. Okay, so again, ventilation should be a real strong suit with these perforations all throughout the shoe, and then the knit upper, you know, it should be really, really good. And then finally, you have the inner. The inner lining has this kind of quilted. I'm trying to show you guys what this looks like. This kind of quilted. It's hard to see. Pattern here that mimics the basically the molded upper on the outside. So if you can see that lining there, it's kind of cushy and padded on the inside there, and it just mimics the same design on the molded upper, right? So that kind of covers your visual aspect and the materials and things like that. And they are very comfortable just trying them on initially. They feel pretty good on feet. So last thing I want to talk about is sizing and fit. I'm a 9.5 and 10 in everything. So the Lillard one and the Curry one, I went with the 9.5 in those. I felt those they ran long enough for me to go half size down. And then I got a 10 in, like, I don't know, Kobe 8 and the Jordan 29 and the Clutch Fit Drive. I went with the 10 in those. So these I went with the 9.5, just to let you guys know, based on what somebody else said online and his recommendations. And they fit pretty good to me. So if you're between sizes, you might want to go with your smaller size. If you don't have a chance to try them on, that would be my advice. But if you always get the same size in everything, then I would just get the same size for these as well. So hopefully I'll be back with a performance review after I get some time in these. I'm really looking forward to playing in them, and then I'll get back to you guys with how I think they perform on court. Thank you guys very much for watching and for your support. It's weird to see that I have like subscribers. Every time I get somebody subscribing, I really literally every time I see it, I'm like, wow, somebody's subscribing to me. It's just a strange feeling, but it's a good feeling, and I appreciate that, you guys. So I guess it means I'm doing something right, but I appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.